You are looking at before and after photos of that deadly building collapse in Surfside, Florida. Today, officials announced the death toll is growing. 20 people are now confirmed dead, including the 7-year-old daughter of a Miami firefighter. 128 people are still missing at this hour. Let's go now to CNN's Nick Valencia live at the family reunification site. So, Nick, what more do we know about that 7-year-old girl?
Well, if it hasn't been made clear enough, Pamela, over the course of these last 9 days, just how personal of a mission this has been for the search and rescue teams, this story of the 7-year-old underscores that quite literally. This 7-year-old's body was found by Florida Task Force 2, and we understand that, that detail is not just heartbreaking enough, but we understand her father was there working on the debris at the time of this discovery. The fire chief for Miami-Dade said that this discovery was uniquely painful for everyone involved.
Every victim we remove, it's difficult. Last night was even more, when we're removing a fellow firefighter's daughter. And that's just where I want to emphasize the emotion, what we're feeling. As firefighters, we do what we do, and it's kind of a calling, and we always say that. But it still takes a toll.
This has been one of the most difficult callings for everyone involved in that mission. A physical toll, no doubt, and quite literally an emotional one. Pamela?
Just an excruciating experience all around. Nick Valencia, thanks so much.
Yeah. You bet.
Well, let's turn now to the investigation into how the building collapsed. CNN's Drew Griffin is learning new details about how engineers told the condo association there was extensive damage to the concrete back in 2020.
Right now, the desperate search in Surfside continues, even as there are questions over whether the rest of the tower needs to come down before it falls.
That building standing definitely has been a huge obstacle, and the hazards that for our men and women that are out there working.
The building will have to go. It's just too much of a risk.
It comes as a newly uncovered letter reveals a structural engineering firm warned of more damage than previously discovered at the now collapsed Florida condo building, pointing to a concrete slab near the pool deck. The letter from Morabito Consultants in October 2020 provides a 9-page summary of work at the towers as of last year, but states full restoration and repair could not be completed because areas of deteriorated concrete appeared to penetrate deep into wall corbel construction, and that aggressive excavation of concrete at the severely deteriorated pool corbel could affect the stability of the remaining adjacent concrete constructions. It's just more evidence of the engineering report initially conducted in 2018 that showed Champlain Towers South was in need of major repairs. Repairs that in 2020 were not yet being completed in part, the letter states, because it would have required access to the inside of the pool, which, according to the document, was to remain in service for the duration of this work. CNN has reached out to Morabito Consultants on the latest development with no response, the firm earlier telling CNN it did its job. Champlain Towers South's board of directors released a statement saying answers will take time to understand the causes of this tragedy. In the meantime, the town of Surfside announced the tower's twin building, Champlain Towers North, will undergo a complete forensic deep dive to calm fears.
And get to the point where we can definitively tell the people that are living there whether or not we think there's an issue or not, which I'm hopeful will give our residents a little more peace of mind.
That the Champlain Towers South was facing massive restoration and accelerating deterioration is not in dispute. Just this past April, the homeowner board's president wrote to residents, the concrete deterioration is accelerating, and the observable damage, such as in the garage, has gotten significantly worse since that initial inspection in 2018. Homeowners were in the process of being assessed more than $15 million for work when the building fell.
And Pamela, that 2020 letter also states that the engineering firm found what it called, and this is in quotes here, some curious results when it took core samples of the building's structural slab. Didn't elaborate beyond that. So just adding more questions as these families are losing hope and now demanding some answers. Pamela?
They deserve those answers. All right, thanks so much, Drew Griffin. Let's discuss all of this with Matisse Levy An engineer and author of Why Buildings Fall Down, How Structures Fail. He was also a principal consultant after 9/11. Thanks so much for joining us. You just heard Drew's report there. Reports of water damage and cracks in the cement date back to 2018. Given everything we know so far, and there is still more to learn, what do you think caused this building to collapse?
Well, I'm certain we won't know for certain for quite a while until the engineers have had a chance to examine all the debris and to go through the analysis of how the building was designed. But the indication is that in the intersection between the plaza, that's the plaza, pool plaza, and the building, there was serious deterioration of the concrete, perhaps the slab and also of the columns supporting the building itself. Now, those two things combined would have led to a collapse, local collapse that could bring the whole building down.
It seems like there were at least a couple of warning signs there over the years. Officials are now discussing these plans to demolish the remaining units of the building. But given the reality here, that there are likely many more bodies in that rubble, what sort of issues do they need to consider?
Well, first of all, obviously, what they want to do first is to make sure that they can get all the bodies out and any remains that can be recovered, because we need to know who was actually there at the time of the collapse.
It's just so awful to think about these poor families that are just waiting, waiting, and waiting. The town of Surfside has requested that all buildings over the age of 30 and more than 3 stories high begin to assess their buildings prior to this 40-year building recertification program. What do you think about that?
I think it's a very good idea. I think one of the main problems here is obviously there was a report issued in 2018. The report said there were serious issues concerning the quality of the work and the quality of the remaining concrete. And nothing was being done about that until a few months before the actual collapse. It was just too late.
I think this has also made a lot of people kind of reassess the buildings they live in. When you look at what needs to be done to prevent this moving forward, should all buildings be inspected well before the 40-year mark?
One of the things that you remember is that all these buildings are along the coast. They're adjacent to salt water. They're subject to intrusion from salt water. They're subject to the chlorides that tends to attack the steel within the concrete. And all those things combined mean you have to be wary and be ready to take action to repair any damage that is caused before it causes a major collapse.